So every once in a while, you'll come across a patient that will say, I want to see a real doctor, not a nurse or an assistant. I want to see a real doctor now. And honestly, it can be daunting, but in this video, I'm going to be going over 3 tips to help you overcome when patients say, I want to see a real doctor. Welcome back, Psych Dude family. It's good seeing each and every one of you guys today. If you are new to this channel, let me formally introduce myself. I'm the Psych Dude. I'm a board-certified psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. And in this channel, I go over several different subjects to educate the public about mental health, ways to improve your lifestyle, topics related to nursing, nurse practitioners, and specifically psychiatric mental health nurse practitioners. If you are interested in any of these things, feel free to subscribe and make sure you give this video a big thumbs up to help support the channel, and follow me on Instagram at THEPSYCHDUDE. So you probably clicked this video because you're interested in finding out how to overcome when patients say, I want to see a real doctor, not a nurse or just an assistant. And honestly, that can be hurtful sometimes to us, but a lot of the times they don't mean it. A lot of patients don't necessarily understand the role that we do. And the reason why I wanted to make this video is because sometimes you feel hurt and sometimes you feel like you just want to be like, oh, I do this, I do this, I do this, and just attacking the patient. But in reality, a lot of the times they don't necessarily understand what our role is. So for my very first tip is I want you to be able to educate. So a huge component of this video is going to be about education. So you want to be able to educate patients about what nurse practitioners are and what PAs are. People don't understand the fact that there are certain roles that have the capabilities to do what doctors do. So a lot of the times they don't understand what we do. So they don't understand that we're advanced practice, either nurses or advanced practice practitioners for PAs. And that's the thing, is you want to be able to educate them. So for me, as a nurse practitioner, I'll be able to educate them and letting them know that I'm advanced practice nurse practitioner. I have my master's degree, or if you have your doctorate, you say you have your doctorate degree, and that you're trained previously as a nurse. Or for a PA, you're trained previously in doing clinical hours and either EMT as a nurse or just vice versa, doing clinical hours depending on what you did. And you want to be able to educate them that you did certain amount of training in order for you to practice. Which brings us to our next tip is that you want to be able to educate that we assess, we diagnose, and we treat patients and are able to prescribe medications. And a lot of times when they say, oh, you're able to do all of those things, then they're more forthcoming in wanting to know what you do and wanting to progress into the actual, either the assessment, evaluation, or whatever you may be doing with the patient initially. And a lot of the times, like I said, it's about educating. They don't understand that we were trained to assess. They don't understand that we're trained to diagnose, and they don't understand that we're trained to actually prescribe and treat patients and do similar things that doctors are doing. Yes, maybe the training's a little bit different, but everyone has their different training to help them get to where they are. And that's an important part, is you have to be able to educate them, because without you educating them, they're just not going to know. Because a lot of the times when they think about nurses, all they think about is what's on TV. You're wiping butts, you're changing bed sheets, you're walking patients, and you're just assisting doctors. And a lot of times when they hear about physician assistant, they just automatically assume, oh, you're an assistant to the physician and that they're going to see the doctor next. But what we do is huge. What we do is way more than what they think. And a lot of the times nurses and PAs, they feel like their egos are hurt because they say, I want to see a real doctor. But like I said, a lot of the times they don't necessarily understand and know what the process is like. So the third tip, which kind of goes along with the first 2 tips, but you want to be able to educate patients about our training process. I know I mentioned this before, that for nurse practitioners, we were nurses before, and for PAs, they had clinical and direct patient experience prior to doing what they're doing. So you want to be able to educate patients about that, because a lot of the times they just think maybe we're just a trade school, maybe we're just an RN, and not necessarily understanding the process it takes in order for us to be nurse practitioners. Yes, there's going to be people that are going to bash saying, oh, nurse practitioners only have 500 hours. Yes, that's true. But at the same time, you have to think about our clinical experience prior, when we were RN, when we were in nursing school, things like that. And for PAs, a lot of them are going to say, oh, you have way more hours than NPs, but this isn't about that. Yes, they have 2,000 hours, we have 500, but you don't even consider all the other experience that we have, especially as RN, so it's not even about that. But you want to be able, depending on which side you're on, you want to be able to educate the patient about that, because a lot of the times if they just think you're an assistant or if you just think you're a nurse, they don't understand the process, what it takes like in order for you to get to where you want to be, or how you got to where you were. And that's the thing, is you want to be able to educate that. For me, for example, I educate the patients like, oh, I can assess, I can diagnose, I can prescribe medication, and like I said earlier, once they hear prescribe, oh, I'm just gonna go with you because I'd rather just do it. And a lot of times when we're able to educate the patient about that, they already feel like they're trusting you, because you're giving them information about yourself even before starting off with them. And once you give that information, they love hearing about it. And then you're going to build this bond together in order for you to develop the relationship and move forward. So once I tell them, oh, I have psych experience. I worked inpatient and outpatient as an RN, so I got that experience working side by side, working bedside with them. And then I moved on to the ER, where I was able to take care of patients from low levels of acuity to high levels of acuity. And I'm able to do that, and I was trauma trained, and I was nationally certified and trauma trained and able to do so. So when they hear all of these things, they think, wow, like I have a good person in front of me who I know is gonna take the best care that they can possibly provide. So that's the thing, is a lot of the times patients don't understand what's happening, and they don't understand what they might be getting themselves into, especially when you first say, oh, I'm a nurse practitioner or I'm a physician assistant, and they automatically like, you're not the doctor, you're not a real doctor, I want a real doctor. So that's where we come into place and say, this is what I do, this is my background, and here's what services I can provide. And if you feel like you still want to see a doctor, then we can move forward in doing that. But if you feel like you want to continue with me, because sometimes seeing the doctor may take forever, and that you pretty much just be able to educate them along the way. I feel like I'm just saying the same stuff over and over again, but that's pretty much the gist of it. And those are the tips that you kind of have to use in order for you to overcome when patients say, I want to see a real doctor, not a nurse or an assistant, because you don't have to get your feelings all hurt. They don't know. Patients don't know. And for the patients that do know, then they might have had bad experiences, and unfortunately you come across those sometimes, and it's your job to be able to educate them and be able to gain their trust back into what we do, because there's going to be some crappy nurse practitioners, there's going to be some crappy PAs, there's going to be some crappy doctors out there, but at the same time there's going to be very good, great doctors, great PAs, great NPs out there, and it's just a matter of you showing them. And the biggest component in gaining their trust is being able to educate exactly of what is going on, who they're receiving services from, and then educate them along the way in order for them to get the best care possible. Because like I said, a lot of the times this patient satisfaction makes a huge difference in the care that they receive, or their perception of their care that's received. So if you can provide that, educate them, and being able to guide them along the way, they'll love you 100% and make sure that they'll come back to see you again. And I've had those experiences, because along the way, you just have to gradually go with them through the path and go with them through that journey, and then they'll love you forever. Well guys, this ends my video. I hope you guys truly enjoyed it. I know it's kind of all over the place, but at the same time, I kind of just wanted to reiterate that education is a huge component of what we do, and you have to educate patients. And sometimes people, when they say that they want to just see the doctor, you feel like your feelings are getting hurt because you worked so hard to where you're going. But at the same time, some patients don't understand what the process is like and don't understand your role. So I figured I'd make a video just so you guys can understand that these things can happen and these things will happen along the way. But a lot of it is when you come across it, you want to be prepared instead of feeling all butthurt, getting upset at them, and just storming out and just kicking them out of your office. It's not like that. You want to be able to be ready, be prepared, and yeah, just enjoy what you're doing. Well guys, like I said, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, bye!